Okay, let's talk about functions, scripts, what they're for, how you can use them, why you should use them, how often you should use them, all that stuff. So first of all, in GameMaker, right now there are no, well, you can't make your own functions. You can, but technically they're scripts, and it can work exactly like a function, but specifically only one type of function. Free functions. What are free functions? Free functions, well, first let's talk about what is a function. A function is something that um, either does something or returns something. Okay, so let's talk about a function that returns something. Function that returns something is basically a bunch of code, a bunch of instructions that you want to happen at the very specific place where you put it. So for example, let's make a new script. I call them function just because it works just like one, so in practice it's basically the same. Um, return 27. Okay, that's going to be the function. So we now have our function. It's a useless one, but it's going to be able to show you what it does basically. So let's say we do is, oops, sorry, if return 27 is smaller than 50, um, you could have another function that is basically uh, run away. There's a mosquito right now, right in my face, and it's really annoying. So if I talk weird, it's because it's making me losing my concentration. So, and I didn't kill it. Sorry about that. Okay, run away. So this could be code for running away. As an example. So if return 27 is smaller than 50, then run away. So run away could be x equals x plus 50. For example, that's just an example. It's not a great runaway function. It's not a great runaway script, but it's a good example. So if 27 is smaller than 50, run for your life. Okay. If this basically gets replaced by 27, that's what happens. And very important, never forget your parentheses. This is what tells the compiler, or this is what tells GameMaker that this is a function. If all you do is this, it won't be the same thing at all. It's going to be completely different. Each script has an index. So I don't know what the numbers are, but they all have an index. So it could be 5. Maybe the script itself is 5. That will be its index. So if you do this, it's going to be is 5 smaller than 50. And that's not what you want. You want the function to work and to give you the result you're looking for. And then do this. Okay, okay, so this would be a pure function. Okay, a pure function is something that always acts the same way if you give it the same input. So in other words, it doesn't matter where you put return 27. It could be in this object, it could be in another object. It's always gonna give back 27. Now it could be something else. It could be return 27 plus n. Let's say that's our script. Return 27 plus n. We'll modify our script plus n. you take an argument, and this right here is not necessary, but it helps you remember what it's for. Number. Okay, so now you could say return 27 plus argument 0. Now, the way, okay, I'll teach you a few terms here. This is called an argument. This could also be called a parameter in other languages. In GameMaker, it's an argument. It's basically something that you pass to the function, you give to the function, so it can use it to give you something back. So, and as a convention, and for readability, normally you do this, you do var number equals argument 0. So when you read your code, it's easier to know what it's doing. It's like, oh, okay, I'm adding 27 to some number that I passed in to the function, that I passed in to the script. So for a small script like that, it's not necessary, and you don't need to remember this right now, but usually it's a good idea to give names to your arguments. And also, if you have a lot of arguments, maybe you have another number, maybe for some reason you pass in the health of the entity or something. Um, Maybe you want to change the order. Maybe you want the number to be argument 1. Maybe you want to switch things up. So if you have all the names set up with the right argument, you can change the argument without rewriting all the rest of the code, because maybe you reference number a bunch of times, maybe 10 times, because you really need it for a bunch of calculations. Number is written here, it's written over there, and now you need to change this to argument 0. Maybe you remove an argument, maybe you had 3 arguments in the beginning, and now you only need 2, you need to remove one, and then it messes up all the code you wrote. That's not good. So if you use a temporary variable for this, it's going to make it much easier, much more flexible, and a lot more readable. And always take the time to give it a real name that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So with that said, return 27 plus number. Let's go back. Oops, wrong object. Let's go back to this. Okay. When you click here, it says number health. That's because I forgot to remove health as a parameter. So I'm gonna go remove that. But this is what this is used for. It writes it down at the bottom. So this is what this is used for. By the way, you can drag this and put it here if you want to. And sometimes if this is too low, you won't be able to read it because it's hidden. So, but yeah, that's what the comment in there is for. And so let's say we pass in 10. Is 27 plus 10 smaller than 50? Yes, it is. So you would run away. Is 27 plus 20 smaller than 50? Yes, it is. You would still run away. Is 27 plus 23 smaller than 50? No, it is not. It is equal to 50. Oh, I just remembered something I forgot. You can also do smaller or equal to 50. And that's the thing I forgot about conditions. I knew I forgot something. So you can make it smaller or equal to 50. In this case, this would be considered true and you'd still run away, because 27 plus 23 is equal to 50. Um, yeah, so uh, that's what I would consider pure function. This would be that's actually a pure function, because it doesn't matter who's calling it. If you pass in 23, it's going to return 50. 27 plus 23 is always going to be 50. It's never going to change. Doesn't matter which instance, which object, under which conditions, it's always going to give back the same answer. 27 plus 23 is always going to be the same. That's a pure function. It doesn't take into consideration anything else but what you pass in. to always give the same result from the same inputs. So, okay, I put a lot of emphasis on that. That's because it can save you a lot of trouble if you make, as often as possible, if you make sure that your functions are that way. You can't always do that, but when you can, I think you should, because it makes it more obvious what your code does. Let's say for some reason in your code you need to change the health, and before returning 27 plus your number, you say current health minus equals 1, which is the same as current health equals current health minus 1. I'll probably stop showing this because it's important to, it saves a lot of time, so I'm going to stop writing it this way. But this is what it means. Okay, so current health minus equals 1. Let's say you do this, okay? Maybe you forgot that your script does that. Maybe you forgot that your function does that. So you're going to do this, and then for some reason down the line, your creature dies. And maybe you have 10, 20, 30 scripts like this, 30 if statements, 30 scripts, all the way to your step event. Well, maybe you won't remember that this happens here. So you lose health, and you don't know why, and you're thinking, wow, I have some weird bug and I don't know where it is, and I look through my scripts and my code and I don't know why, what's happening, I don't understand. And that's the problem with doing a bunch of things inside a function. Sometimes you have to, but if you do it, make it clear. Do return 27 plus n and reduce health. If you absolutely need to, make it that. So at least now you're going to know what it's doing. So make sure your names don't lie. Make sure the names of your function and the names of your script say exactly what it does. And it's going to save you a lot of headaches in the future. So I put a lot of emphasis there. It's not exactly programming, it's more like a philosophy. Uh, but it's going to save you a lot of trouble in the long run. So I highly recommend you do this. Okay, so that's a free function, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe you want to move or run away. If you want to run away, you don't go with an input, although you could say 10 pixels away, for example. And then it will be x equals x plus argument 0. So arg amount, how much do you want to run away? Well, 10 pixels. If you want to make it clearer, you could say in pixels. Because maybe you want to count it in tiles. And tiles are 16 pixels wide by 16 pixels high. So if you want to make it obvious how much you're moving, you mention it. You say in pixels. Give the measurement. So yeah, okay. So you want to run away. Amount in pixels. 10. Run away 10 pixels. Uh, that's a script or a function. I would just call it a script personally, but yeah. So that's not a pure function because it doesn't give the same result every time. Um, yeah, it's stateful, I guess. It depends on the state of everything else. It depends on your current x value. Maybe you're at position 0, maybe you're at position 50. Who knows? Nobody knows except when you're playing the game. So yeah. But this can be useful for things that are complex and that you need to happen often. And as a rule of thumb, don't repeat yourself. It's you. If you haven't read about that, you will. Don't repeat yourself basically means if there's some piece of code that you keep copying over and over and over, then don't, and make a script so that you write it only once and that you save yourself trouble. And if you've seen my, well, I don't need to give an example. I'm sure you understood this idea. What else? Um, yeah, here are a few useful functions that you can use. So keyboard check. So in key, This basically checks if a key is currently being found. There are a bunch of key constants, and what you can Google to find them is GameMaker Studio key constants. If you pass this on Google, you'll probably find the link, and let's do it so that you see what I'm talking about. GameMaker Studio key constants. So keyboard input. Let's click on this one, see what it says. Okay, it's for GameMaker Studio 1, but it's the same in GameMaker Studio 2, so it's gonna work. It says a bunch of keys that are using V key, which probably means virtual keyboard. So you have a bunch of keys that are like this, so you can use those. And what does it say? Sometimes you have to read. Let's zoom in. Now each key is normally defined by a number, blah blah blah. Most use keyboard special keys and special function ORD to return the number from ordinary type character. Basically what it's trying to say is if you need W or S or A or D, you need to use ORD. So what does that mean in practice? It means instead of some key, you could have ORD W. And by the way, oh, I forgot to talk about words and strings in variable video. Well, I keep forgetting things apparently. If you do this, it's going to return whether you're currently holding the W variable. So if you're holding it, not if you're pressing it, not if you're just pressing it once, not if you're pressing it and now you stop, that's not it. If it's only if you're holding it without stopping. So, but it's instant. It's instant. So basically, if you try moving up, that's what you would use to check it. So ORD and keyboard check. Then there's keyboard check pressed. That's only when you want to check if you pressed it only once. So bam, like this. Has it been pressed? Then there's released, which does the opposite. When is it released? What else? Point distance. This is going to give you the distance between two things. You're going to need it a lot when you want to check the distance between the player and an enemy or something else. Then there's point direction that are going to be important. That's to find the angle between one point and another. So maybe you want to know the angle between the player and the enemy. Let's say you want to make the player face towards the enemy. That's the function you're going to be using. Place meeting X, Y, object wall, for example. This is basically going to tell you if at this position, so if you want your current position, you put X and Y. If you want your X position plus 50, you place X position plus 50. And it's going to move your object there temporarily and check if there would be a wall that you would collide with. So these are the parameters that you pass in basically. Your X coordinate, your Y coordinate, and the object you want to check against. So these two would be pure functions. This one I guess wouldn't be, but it's not too important. In practice, what it's called doesn't matter too much. I might be wrong about the definition and names, by the way. Yeah, I guess those are the most other important functions. Length dir x. Sorry. Let's say you want to move the player in a certain direction towards enemy that you could have stored in a temporary variable earlier, like this, for example. Then you could move. Okay, That's getting more and more complicated, I guess. Just keep in mind that length there x is important and you're going to be using it a lot. And I guess those are the most important functions. Um, Game end ends the game. So you could do if keyboard check rest v key escape game end. When you press the escape button, it ends the game. You could do ord r and do game restart. That would restart the game. You could do room restart, which would restart only the room, not the whole game. Wouldn't start all over, just the last level basically, just the room you're currently in. Yeah, I don't think I need to teach more functions for now. Those are the basic stuff. Uh, Draw sprite are going to be useful. Draw sprite extended even more. That's it for functions. I think this video lasted a little bit too long, but I don't think anybody's going to regret watching this unless they've already know. So next is going to be loops, probably, or yeah, probably loops, for loops, while loops. That's it for now.